In part 2 of why the prequel should not be so hated, we are going to take a look at Attack of the Clones. In part 1 we looked to the Phantom Menace and how some great scenes and great components helped create an all-round fun watch. So Attack of the Clones, why do people hate it? Jar Jar's screen time was cut severely, so it can't be that. What could it be? Oh, right. Yeah. So the main cause of hatred for episode 2 is the dialogue given mainly to Anakin and also his sometimes creepy portrayal. Now George Lucas has never been a great writer when it comes to dialogue for Star Wars. The cringy and cheesy lines read by Hayden Christensen was nothing new. Constantly we hear stories of how in the originals Harrison Ford, Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher all asked to change lines or simplify lines as they weren't very good, were difficult to say or complicated to follow. Was one of the most memorable lines from The Empire Strikes Back scripted and written by George? No. Harrison Ford was the one that came up with the "I know" response, not George. So when people complain about the dodgy writing, I stop listening to their argument. The originals were just as bad in places, and as I mentioned in my last video, the problem most likely lied with the yes men. In the originals, the actors asked to change lines, change parts of the movie. This most likely did not happen much on the set of Attack of the Clones. What else was a big reason it was hated? Well, the CGI. Everyone seemed to hate that Lucas seemed to have some kind of CGI animal in the background of every shot. And fair enough, it's not always needed. I see it as him reminding us it's another world or another planet. I don't take issue with it personally. Again, a lot of people hate how fake it looks. I covered this in the previous video also. It's another galaxy, it's George's creation. We don't know how they are supposed to look. What are some good things about this film then? Well, Ewan McGregor was allowed to start to develop his character a bit more. We saw some moments showing us the bond Obi-Wan and Anakin shared. I would have liked to see more of this, but the moments we got were well done. Another part of this movie I loved was the big arena fight. This was the first time we had ever seen something to this scale. Hundreds of Jedi all in their prime fighting and showing off their force powers. It was awesome. Coming off from this, Christopher Lee was a great addition to the cast and played a very good villain, of which I would have liked a bit more of, with some more backstory without the Clone Wars animated series. The final fights were well choreographed. We got to see how Anakin's arrogance and overconfidence in his powers gets him into trouble, whilst Kenobi's calm nature allows him to compete for a while. Then we see the bond between them shows again as Anakin throws himself at Dooku protecting his master. Then we got to see just how powerful and skillful Anakin was, able to compete with Dooku for longer. And then to round it all off, we finally get to see the Jedi Grandmaster, the most hyped up character in all Star Wars in terms of power. Yoda fights. That was great. So overall, Anakin's dialogue was a bit off, but nothing new from what we have seen before. His portrayal and creepiness is the only thing that I will 100% agree with as being a bad thing. But this movie has some truly great moments, and acting. Ewan McGregor, Christopher Lee and also some moments of Hayden's acting was great. The fights were tense and the story was easy enough to follow as the Jedi delved deeper into the dark side's trap. The comedy was enough, not too much, not too little, and the new worlds and creatures were amazing. Overall, I had a great time watching this film from start to finish, and I don't understand why most of the time this ends up at the bottom of people's rankings. Anyway guys, stick around for part 3 of why I think the prequels shouldn't be so hated. Thank you so much for watching, see you next time.